Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Nature Channel. Did you know that the crow sitting on the fence outside your window might know your face better than your neighbors do? Crows remember the people they meet, not just for days, but for years. And when they have babies, they whisper to them, "That one is safe. That one, be careful." Tonight, we're going to slow down and spend time in the world of these quiet, watchful birds, creatures who carry maps of whole neighborhoods inside their minds, who leave little gifts for people they trust, and who have been watching over our streets for thousands of years without us ever really noticing. Come and rest with them for a while, somewhere at the edge of a town where the streets thin out into weedy lots and the old oak trees still hold their ground. A crow opens one dark, shining eye. She is perched on a branch that she has known for 3 winters. The branch curves just so, like a gentle arm, and she settles into it the way you settle into a favorite chair, with the easy certainty of something familiar. Her name, if crows have names, is something that sounds like the wind pressing through dry leaves. We will just call her the Crow, and she is already watching the world begin. Crows are among the earliest risers in the bird world. Long before the sparrows flutter awake and the pigeons shuffle around on their ledges, crows are already up on their high perches, looking out at the neighborhood the way a quiet neighbor might stand at a window with a warm drink, just watching the light change. They are not restless. They are observant. There is a difference. The light at this hour is the color of old honey, warm, slow, thick at the edges. It moves across the rooftops in no hurry. The crow watches it come. She has seen this same light thousands of times, and it still holds her attention. This is one of the small wonders of being a crow. Very little goes unnoticed. A crow in a tree is not simply sitting. She is reading the world the way you might read a beloved book, not for the first time, but with real pleasure. Below her, a man walks along the path by the fence. He has a gray coat and a blue bag. She has seen him before. She watches him without moving, her head tilted at that particular angle that means she is paying close attention. Crows tilt their heads to bring one eye to bear on something that interests them, because their eyes sit on the sides of their heads and each eye sees a separate picture. To really focus on something, they angle toward it. It is a posture of genuine curiosity. The man glances up. The crow does not flinch. She holds his gaze for a long, steady moment, the way old souls sometimes do. And then she looks away, not out of shyness, but because she has seen what she needed to see. She has filed his face away. It joins a long, quiet gallery of faces she carries inside her, organized by feeling rather than by name. This one, harmless, familiar, no cause for alarm. He does not even know she's keeping a record. There is something very peaceful about this, if you think about it. To be observed by a crow is to be gently cataloged, sorted into the drawer marked safe, and then forgotten on the surface while being remembered underneath. It is something like being loved by a very shy creature who would never say so out loud. The morning stretches on. The light changes from honey to something cleaner and cooler. A small cloud drifts past like a slow thought. The crow preens one wing, drawing each feather carefully through her beak, smoothing the barbs back into place, the way you might smooth a crease from a piece of cloth. Crow feathers when properly preened, are astonishingly complex, each one made of hundreds of tiny interlocking filaments that zip together like very small zippers, creating a surface that sheds water and holds warmth. She does this every single morning. It is her quiet ritual. Crows, like all corvids, have unusually large brains relative to their body size. If you were to look at a crow's brain alongside its body, the proportion would remind you more of a primate than a typical bird. Scientists who study animal intelligence often use something called the encephalization quotient, a measure of brain size adjusted for body size. And corvids score extraordinarily high, higher than most mammals. Not quite as high as dolphins or humans, but far, far above what anyone expected from a bird. This is not something the crow thinks about, of course. She simply is what she is. Curious, careful, capable of things that would quietly astonish you if you watched her long enough. She ruffles her feathers once, smoothing them back flat. Then she settles again into the curve of her branch, watching the neighborhood wake up below her. If you're feeling cozy right now, we'd love for you to drop a comment and let us know. It means everything to us, and it helps more sleepy people find this story. Somewhere nearby, under the same oak tree, a young crow sits on a lower branch. He is her son, in a loose, seasonal sense. One of 3 fledglings she raised this past summer, the one that stayed. Crow families do sometimes stay together into the fall and beyond, especially when the territory is rich and there is still plenty to learn. He watches everything she watches, though he does not yet know what he is looking for. This is how it begins, the slow, patient inheritance of knowing. A church bell rings somewhere in the distance, each note arriving soft and separate, like stones dropped one at a time into still water. The crow listens. She does not look alarmed. She has known that bell for years. Below, the man in the gray coat rounds the corner and disappears. The crow's gaze follows him to the edge of her vision and then releases. The young crow watched too, without knowing why. By the time the sun is fully up, the crow has already mapped the morning. This is another thing crows do that most animals do not. They make mental maps, not maps you could draw on paper, but rich internal landscapes of space and time. This corner at this hour has breadcrumbs. That park bench at midday sometimes has a woman with crackers. The bins behind the bakery are opened on Tuesday. Crows hold these schedules inside them the way a careful traveler holds a timetable, consulting it without effort, without even noticing they are consulting it. Researchers once set up a series of experiments where crows were allowed to hide food in different locations while different humans were watching. The crows reliably moved their caches when they saw that another bird or another person had been watching. They understood the concept of a witness. They understood that an observer means a potential thief, and they adjusted accordingly. This requires a kind of perspective taking that we once thought only humans and great apes possessed. The ability to imagine what another creature sees from where it stands. The young crow watches his mother move through the yard below. She walks in that very particular way crows have. A series of small hops followed by a full, purposeful stride, as though they cannot quite decide between 2 different gaits and have chosen to alternate between them. It is a charming walk. It makes them look cheerful, even when they are simply going about very serious business. She has found something, a piece of bread crust, slightly stale. She picks it up, hops to the edge of the fence, looks left, looks right, and then, in one smooth motion, drops it into a gap between two fence posts where it will not be immediately visible. Then she walks away from it casually, like someone who has not just done something very deliberate. Crows cache food. They hide things for later, and they do so with a sophistication that surprised researchers enormously when first documented. They remember not just where they hid things, but when. Because a perishable item hidden 3 days ago is less worth retrieving than a non-perishable one hidden a week ago. This is called episodic-like memory, the ability to recall not just what happened and where, but when. It puts crows in a very small group of non-human animals believed to have something resembling a sense of personal time. There is something deeply comforting about this. The crow carries time inside her, gently, the way you carry the memory of a good afternoon, not with urgency, but with a kind of quiet safekeeping. The morning is getting warmer now. A cat has appeared at the base of the oak tree and is looking up at the young crow with the kind of focused attention that the young crow correctly identifies as unfriendly. He shuffles along the branch and lifts his tail feathers in a light, warning ruffle. The cat sits down. Neither of them moves. It is one of those small standoffs that punctuate an ordinary morning, full of importance in the moment, forgotten by afternoon. Crows are quite good at identifying potential threats. They will mob a predator, meaning a group of them will gather around it, calling loudly, dive-bombing in turns, making themselves impossible to ignore until the predator leaves the area. This behavior is called mobbing, and it is not random or impulsive. Crows communicate about specific individuals. They share information. A crow that has been mobbed by a particular bird of prey will be mobbed again the next time it appears, even weeks later. The record has been kept. But this morning, there is no hawk, no danger beyond a bored cat. The crow returns from her caching errand and perches again in the upper branches. The young crow climbs toward her, spreading his wings briefly for balance on the uneven bark, and settles beside her. She makes a quiet sound, low, almost conversational, and he answers in kind. Their voices most of us only know as caws, loud, brash, declarative. But crows have a much larger vocabulary than a single caw suggests. They have soft murmurs used for close communication within the family. They have specific alarm calls that convey not just danger, but the nature of the danger. A ground predator gets a different call than an aerial one. They have something researchers describe as regional dialects. Crows from one city sound subtly different from crows in another, the way people from different places have different accents. They have calls that mean nothing scientists have fully decoded yet. This is a good moment to check our playlist. If you'd like more sleepy stories to drift through, it's linked just below the video, waiting quietly for you whenever you need it. The young crow calls softly, and she answers. It feels like a conversation, and perhaps it is. We are only just beginning to understand what crows say to each other, and the more we listen, the more we realize how much we have been missing. The cat gives up and wanders away beneath the hedge. The morning holds its warmth. Somewhere in the distance, a lawnmower starts up and then stops, as if it thought better of the whole thing. The crow closes one eye for a moment, not sleeping, just resting, and the young crow sits beside her in easy silence. There is a particular quality of late morning light that belongs entirely to autumn, pale gold with a coolness underneath it, like sunlight filtered through water. It lies across the tops of the oak trees and the rooftops without much warmth, but with a kind of gentle clarity, the way a good idea sometimes feels when it arrives softly rather than all at once. The crow is in that light now, up high in her tree, and she is watching a person she has never seen before. He's a young man, maybe 20, maybe a little older, and he has stopped beneath her tree to look at something on his phone. He has not noticed her. Most people don't. This is one of the genuine strangnesses of living alongside crows in a city. There is a very good chance that in any neighborhood you have spent time in, some crow has a record of your face. You walk through their territory and they watch you, and you have no idea that somewhere up in the leaves, a careful mind is taking note. It is not threatening. It is, if anything, quietly wonderful, to be known by creatures you never thought to introduce yourself to. The young man looks up, not at the crow, but at the sky, the way people sometimes do when they are thinking. Then he puts his phone away and walks on. The crow watches him go and files the impression away. New, no clear pattern yet. Observe again if seen. This is where it gets genuinely remarkable. Studies carried out at the University of Washington, studies that have become fairly famous in the world of animal behavior research, showed that crows could reliably distinguish between individual human faces and remember them over extended periods of time. In one set of experiments, a person wearing a specific mask would trap crows for banding, a standard bird research practice, and then release them unharmed. Even years later, when someone walked through that same territory wearing the same mask, the local crows would scold them. They would mob an alarm call a mask. They remembered a face, even an artificial one, even after years had passed and many other faces had come and gone. You can breathe in here gently. There is nothing to hurry toward. What the study also found, and this is the part that stays with you, is that crows who had never been trapped themselves would also respond to the mask with alarm. They had learned about it. Somehow, the experience of the original birds had been transmitted to the younger generation. The knowledge traveled. The crow on her branch has never been trapped, but she has watched her mother react to certain faces, certain body movements, certain presences in the territory, watched the subtle shift in posture, the changed quality of the calls, and she has learned, not by being told exactly, by attending, the way we learn most of the things that stay with us longest. The young crow beside her sees everything she sees. He is still at that stage where the world is mostly sensation. A brightness here, a sound there, an interesting shape moving below. But gradually it is becoming something more organized. A world that holds information. A world that can be read. Crows begin to show their full cognitive abilities around the age of 2, which is later than most birds. This extended period of development has some similarities to how human children develop relatively slowly compared to other primates. The brain is taking its time because it has more to build. What it is building in a crow is something that can hold maps and schedules and faces and relationships and social hierarchies and the locations of hidden food across a complex, ever-changing landscape. That takes time. We really appreciate every like this story receives. It's a small thing that helps this channel find people who need a quiet place to rest. The morning passes into midday with the unhurried patience of good weather. The light shifts. Somewhere below, a woman comes out of a house and puts a plate of table scraps near the base of a different tree. She has been doing this for some time. The crow watches her, and there is a quality in her watching that is different from how she watched the young man. Something more relaxed, perhaps even something that could be called anticipatory warmth. She has watched this woman for 2 years. She knows her coat, her routine, the approximate time she appears on good weather days. She knows this person is safe. She glides down from her branch in one long, smooth arc, wings barely working, and lands a careful distance away from the plate. She does not rush. She looks around first. Then she approaches with measured steps. The woman looks up and smiles. She does not know, or perhaps she does a little without knowing she knows, that she is being extended a form of trust. The afternoon slides in gently, the way afternoons do when there is nowhere to be. The crow has eaten. The young crow has eaten too. A piece of bread and something unidentifiable that he found near the base of a lamppost, which he spent 20 minutes examining before deciding it was acceptable. Young crows are cautious about new food, which is a good quality in an animal that eats nearly everything. Crows are omnivores in the most genuine sense of the word. They eat seeds, berries, insects, earthworms, small animals, eggs, carrion, human food scraps, and an impressive range of things that most animals would not consider food at all. This flexibility is one of the reasons they have thrived so well in human environments. A world that disturbs many animals, full of pavement and traffic and unfamiliar smells, is, to a crow, simply a very large and complicated territory full of interesting opportunities. The young crow sits in the lower branches and does what young crows spend a great deal of time doing: watching. He watches a squirrel cross the yard below. He watches a leaf detach from a high branch and spiral down through the still air, taking a very long time to reach the ground. He watches 2 sparrows chase each other through the hedge in what appears to be a purely recreational pursuit. He does not intervene in any of this. He simply watches with a quality of attention that in a human we might call contemplative. You breathe in, you breathe out. The afternoon is the color of old straw and faded gold. Let it settle around you. Crows play. This is documented, observed, studied, and still somehow surprising to many people who assume that play is a luxury only mammals allow themselves. Crows slide down snowy rooftops on purpose and then fly back up and do it again. They carry objects into the air and drop them, then dive to catch them before they hit the ground. They play tug-of-war with each other using sticks. Young crows in particular engage in what researchers call object play and social play with considerable enthusiasm, and it is believed, though not yet proven, that this play serves some of the same purposes it serves in young mammals: the development of physical skills, the learning of social rules, the low-stakes rehearsal of behaviors that will matter later. It is hard to watch a crow play and not feel fond of them. The afternoon holds its warmth in that gentle, slightly drowsy way that good autumn afternoons tend to. The young crow reaches out and picks up a small twig, about the length of his beak, and turns it in his feet, examining it from multiple angles. Then he puts it down. Then he picks it up again. There is no purpose to this as far as anyone can tell. He is simply interested. If you're finding this video soothing, do feel welcome to comment below. We love hearing from you, and it means so much. Crows and their relatives, ravens, jays, jackdaws, magpies, are classified together in the family Corvidae. And together, they represent what many researchers now consider the most cognitively sophisticated group of birds on the planet. Some of the things they can do have historically been used as benchmarks for what we called uniquely human intelligence. Complex tool use, self-recognition in mirrors, planning for future events, understanding what others know and don't know, and something that looks from the outside very much like empathy. In one study, ravens were shown to console each other after conflicts, approaching an upset individual and touching them gently with the beak or sitting close. Crows have been observed doing something similar. Whether this constitutes something like emotional care, or whether it is a behavior with a different mechanism that simply looks like care, is a question that keeps researchers awake at night in the best possible way. We do not have a conclusive answer, but the behavior is real, whatever we call it. The twig falls off the branch. The young crow watches it go. He does not retrieve it. High above him, the crow is doing something quiet and precise. She is watching the patterns of the street below with the focused attention of someone doing important work, which, in her way, she is. She is building the picture, updating the map, adding today's data to the long, careful record of this place and the people who pass through it. The church bell rings again in the distance. The same bell as this morning, same clean note, same gentle diminish into silence. The young crow looks up at it, a tilt of the head, interested, already beginning to file it away. That sound, that time of day, that quality of light. The afternoon deepens into late afternoon with the particular slowness of days you don't want to end. The light is tilting now, long shadows stretching from the east sides of things, everything lit at that low, raking angle that makes the world look like a painting of itself. The crow has been watching the street for most of the afternoon, and now she knows something that she did not know this morning. The young man who stopped under her tree is not dangerous. He passed again, late in the day, heading the other way, and he moved with the unhurried looseness of someone with no particular urgency. Not the tight, alert posture that means aggression, not the nervous energy that means alarm. He looked up again at the sky, the same gesture, and the crow watched from higher in the tree and made a small internal notation. Neutral, curious, no threat. She will watch him again tomorrow if he comes, and perhaps the day after. Crows take their time before fully classifying someone. They have that luxury because they remember. They do not need to decide quickly when they can decide accurately. There is a kind of wisdom in that. Take your time. Let the picture develop fully. You do not need to rush to a conclusion about anything. Not right now, not tonight. The relationship between crows and humans in cities is one of the more quietly remarkable co-evolutions happening around us all the time. Crows have adapted to urban life with an ease that suggests they find something genuinely useful about it. The reliable food sources. Not every day, not on a schedule, but enough times, and specifically enough that it became difficult to write off as coincidence. The crows seemed to be reciprocating, offering something back. Please remember to check the playlist. There are more peaceful nature stories waiting for you there whenever this one ends. What crows exchange with each other in terms of gifts and tokens is not fully understood. What is known is that they do trade objects, that they are attracted to shiny and colorful things, and that they have enough social awareness to engage in something that looks, from the outside, very much like generosity. Whether it is generosity in the human sense, whether there is something like intention and warmth behind it, is one of those questions that animal behavior research keeps circling around, because answering it properly requires getting inside a crow's head, and that is a place we have not yet been. The evening is coming softly. The long shadows are merging now into the general dimness of dusk. The temperature drops a few degrees with each passing half hour, the kind of slow, gradual cooling that you feel through your skin rather than notice with your mind. The crow preens again. She has a long, particular relationship with her own feathers. They are her insulation, her waterproofing, her flight surface, her weather station. She knows when they are not quite right, in the way that you know when something you wear all the time is not sitting as it should. Crow feathers are remarkable objects. Under strong magnification, the flight feathers reveal an architecture so precisely engineered that aerospace researchers have studied them for insight into materials design. The hook and barb structure that zips the feather into a unified surface is finer and more consistent than almost anything manufactured by hand. And yet, this whole perfect thing is grown from a follicle, renewed each year, replaced without fuss. The young crow watches his mother preen and mimics the motion, reaching back over his shoulder, pulling a feather gently through his beak, looking faintly uncertain about whether he is doing it correctly. He probably is. The instinct is there. It just needs practice. Together, they sit in the last of the evening light. The crow, experienced and steady. The young crow, fresh and paying careful attention. And between them, there passes something that has no good name in our language, only in theirs. Night is assembling itself slowly, the way it always does, piece by piece, shadow by shadow, until all at once there is more dark than light, and you notice the stars have been there for a while without you knowing it. The crow has moved higher in the tree for the night. This is standard crow behavior. They prefer to roost high, where a sleeping bird has the best chance of noticing something coming. The young crow is beside her, tucked slightly into the shelter of her wing in the way that young birds still do, even after they are technically capable of looking after themselves. Crows, like many corvids, have seasonal communal roosts, large gatherings where hundreds or even thousands of birds sleep together in winter. These roosts can be spectacular, the kind of thing that stops people in their tracks on winter evenings. A dark river of birds flowing in from all directions toward a stand of trees that will hold them for the night. A living thing made of living things. The noise before roosting is considerable. A great social gathering happening in crow time before the silence of sleep. But this particular tree holds only two tonight. The crow's family is a small one in a large territory, and the winter roosts are still some weeks away. For now, they have this tree, this branch, this particular quality of night air that carries the scent of fallen leaves and distant wood smoke. Let yourself settle now. Feel the weight of your body where it rests. Everything is calm. The stars, where they show between the clouds, are the ordinary stars of autumn, Cassiopeia above the horizon, Orion just beginning to rise. The faint swash of the Milky Way visible in the darker parts of the sky between streetlights. The crow does not look at the stars for navigation. She does not migrate and has no need of celestial maps. But she is awake to their light in the way that a quiet animal is awake to everything, feeling it on the surface of her eyes without processing it into meaning. Many birds navigate by the stars. Some can sense the Earth's magnetic field directly through structures in their beaks or eyes that function like biological compasses. The details of how this works are still being studied. It is one of those areas of biology where the more you look, the stranger and more wonderful it gets. There is something almost meditative about it. Imagine navigating not by landmarks or signs, but by a feeling in your body, a gentle sense of direction that is always there, like a very quiet inner voice pointing home. The crow does not migrate. She does not need that voice. Her home is here in this particular tree on this particular street, and she knows it as well as she knows anything. If you're still with us and feeling peaceful, a small like means the world to us. It tells us you're out there in the dark, listening, and that makes this all feel real. The night deepens. A light goes on in a window across the way, a warm yellow rectangle in the blue dark, and through it, a figure moves briefly, and then is still. The young crow, who has not fully given himself to sleep yet, watches it without any particular concern. A light in a window, a person in a house, the quiet machinery of the neighborhood settling into the night. There is a sound that crows make in the darkness that most people have never heard. A very soft, variable murmuring, almost conversational, with a quality quite different from their daytime calls. Researchers believe this may be a form of sleep talking, something like the vocal processing that happens in other birds during rest, when the brain rehearses and consolidates the sounds it has heard. Some birds in REM sleep have been observed making the quiet, fragmentary sounds of songs they are learning, running through them silently on the breath, fixing them in place. What the crow murmurs in her sleep, we do not know. Perhaps the sound of the street at morning, perhaps the bell, perhaps something that has no equivalent in any language we speak. The young crow pushes a little further under her wing, and she adjusts without waking, making space without thinking about it, the way things do when they are used to each other. The night folds over them both, dark and feathered and full of quiet. Sleep is a country with no borders and no maps, and every creature finds its own way into it. The crow sleeps with one eye open, literally. This is called unihemispheric sleep, and it is a real thing. One hemisphere of the brain enters a sleep state while the other remains lightly alert, and one eye stays open and scanning. It allows a roosting bird to get some rest while maintaining partial awareness of the environment around them. Some birds can fly while half their brain is asleep. The other half keeps track of the horizon. This is not like our sleep, with its deep surrender, its long diving into the dark. The crow's sleep is more like floating close to the surface, always within reach of the waking world. And yet crows do also enter deeper sleep stages with closed eyes and the kind of stillness that looks like genuine rest. They need it. The large brain needs its long maintenance window. During deeper sleep, memories are consolidated, connections are strengthened, the complex social map is updated and organized. What was learned today is filed away carefully for tomorrow. Somewhere in that night work, the faces from today are given their proper places. The familiar man in the gray coat, safe. The young man who looked at the sky, still being assessed. The woman who brings food, trusted. The new face from the afternoon, logged but unlabeled. The filing is quiet and effortless, the way all deep maintenance is. The brain works in the dark. When morning comes, everything will be where it needs to be. You too are doing this work right now. Or you will when you sleep. The day is being organized inside you. Put something good in there. There is plenty to choose from. The oak tree holds its 2 crows. The leaves rustle once in a small wind that comes from nowhere in particular and goes nowhere in particular, the kind of wind that seems to exist, mainly to remind you that air is a real thing with weight and movement. Then the stillness returns. Crows, like several other corvid species, have been studied for their dreams, or rather, for the neural activity during sleep that corresponds to dreaming in mammals. Birds enter REM sleep, and during this phase, their brains show activity patterns that suggest they are replaying or processing experiences. Whether this constitutes something we would recognize as dreaming, with images and narratives and feelings, is not known. But something is happening in there, something active and organizing, and perhaps occasionally strange. Our playlist is growing, and we'd love for you to explore it. Each story is a different corner of the natural world, waiting to be visited slowly at night. What would a crow dream? Perhaps the long sliding joy of a thermal, that upwelling column of warm air that allows a bird to circle higher and higher with barely a wing beat, riding an invisible staircase of warm air into the blue. Crows do thermal soar sometimes when the conditions are right. It looks like play. It looks like something done purely for the sensation of it, or perhaps the particular satisfaction of a problem solved. Crows have been documented solving multi-step puzzles to obtain food, inserting a stick into a tube to release a box, which releases another tool, which can then be used to reach the actual reward. The studies are careful and replicable and still astonishing. There is a quality of attention in a crow working on a problem that looks, from the outside, like concentration. And when the problem is solved, something in their behavior suggests satisfaction. Whether this is satisfaction in the way we mean it, an interior state, something felt, is one of those questions with a long and genuinely uncertain answer. But the behavior is there. The crow solves the puzzle. The crow's posture changes. The crow does it faster the next time. The night is quiet. The oak tree breathes through its leaves. The stars continue their very slow wheeling, and the 2 dark shapes in the upper branches are still and close and breathing in the soft, mutual warmth of familiar company. The very deepest part of the night has a different quality than the early part, a denser quiet, a heavier stillness, as if the world has committed fully to its rest and is no longer keeping one ear to the waking world. It is in this part of the night that the crow sleeps most deeply. eyes fully closed, brain given over to whatever it is that large-brained birds do in their darkest sleep. Below the tree, the street is entirely empty. A fox crosses from one side to the other, quick, intent, following some track of scent invisible to all other eyes, and disappears behind a row of bins. The cat from this morning is somewhere inside now, pressed against a warm radiator. The streetlights hold their pools of amber light on the pavement without anything to illuminate, performing their patient vigil for no audience. There is something deeply beautiful about a quiet street at 3 a.m, the human world at its most dormant, machines stilled, movement almost ceased, the architectural bones of the place visible without the usual motion and noise layered over them. Crows know this version of the world, since they are awake and watching at the edges of it, their partially open eyes taking in the amber streetlight, the empty road, the occasional shape of a nocturnal animal making its rounds. They remember night too. All of this is part of the map. Breathe slowly. There is absolutely nothing to attend to right now except the darkness and the warmth and the sound of your own quiet breathing. Crow communities have what researchers call social hierarchies, not rigid like the dominant systems of some animals, but flexible and nuanced. An older, experienced crow has a different standing than a young one, not through enforcement, but through recognition. Other crows simply know, through long acquaintance, that some individuals make better decisions, find food more reliably, identify threats more accurately. This knowledge is distributed across the group as a kind of collective intelligence. The experienced bird sets the tone of the response, and the others calibrate to it. This is one of the reasons that the passing on of knowledge about human faces is so effective. When the crow mobs someone wearing the mask that has historically caused problems, the younger birds do not need to have their own experience of the mask. The experienced bird's response is a very strong signal. This face means danger. The information spreads through the social fabric without a single word. Language is not the only way to pass knowledge from one mind to another. In the stillness of the oak tree, the young crow presses closer in sleep. The crow adjusts, as she always does, making space for him without waking, without thought. This close sleeping is also communication of a kind. Crows that trust each other perch close. Crows that are not close in social terms keep a more careful distance. You can read the relationships in the spacing if you know what to look for. We hope you're feeling very safe and warm right now. And if you'd like to leave a comment telling us where you are in the world as you listen, we'd love to imagine you there. The fox returns across the street, this time moving more slowly without its earlier purposeful urgency, as if the search has been resolved one way or another. It pauses at the base of the oak tree, nose working, reading the complex story that has accumulated at this particular spot over many years. The crow's landings, the young crow's early tumbling, the cat's daily circuits, the woman's footsteps on food-leaving days. The fox reads all of this and then moves on. The night holds everything in its dark and careful keeping. The tree holds its two crows. The cold deepens by barely a degree, barely perceptible, the slow work of the hours before dawn. Somewhere far above in the dark, bats are navigating on sound alone, sending out pulses of ultrasound that return to them as detailed maps of the space around them. Some of these bats can distinguish a wire 2 millimeters thick in complete darkness, navigating by echoes so precise they are genuinely difficult to comprehend. They pass above the oak tree and are gone, silent to the crow's ears, already somewhere else. The night moves on in its particular way, with patience, with darkness, with the sound of very small things and the stillness of very large ones. And somewhere in the upper branches, a crow dreams. The darkness begins to thin, so slowly you would not notice it minute by minute. You would only look up and realize that where there was pure dark, there is now something more like deep blue, a color that holds the memory of light even before the light returns. The crow feels this before she fully wakes to it. Something in her biology responds to the very first thinning of the darkness, a change in certain light-sensitive cells that begins to bring her toward the surface of sleep. And by the time the horizon is the faintest possible pale gray, she's already awake. Birds have a fourth type of photoreceptor in their eyes that humans do not have, one sensitive to ultraviolet light. This means that what a crow sees is not quite the same world we see. Certain feathers that look uniformly black to us glow with patterns in the UV range, patterns used in mate recognition and social communication. The world of a crow, visually, has an extra dimension. Colors we cannot see live in surfaces that appear to us plain. It is a useful reminder of how many ways there are to see a world. The pre-dawn is the softest light of the day. It has no strong direction yet. It seems to come from everywhere at once, a general lightening, as if the air itself is becoming less dense. The crow sits in it and is very still. This is the bird's own hour. Before the human noise begins, before the first cars, the garbage trucks, the footsteps on pavement, there is a window of time that belongs entirely to the birds. The dawn chorus, when it happens in spring, begins here in this particular blue stillness, with a single voice testing the air, and then another, and then more, until the sound is layered and rich. In autumn, there is less singing. The urgency of territory has passed. But there is still this moment of collective wakefulness, a shared adjustment to the coming day. The crow calls once, softly, into the blue air. Not an alarm, not a greeting exactly. Something more like a check. I am here. I am awake. The world is still the world. Let yourself breathe with the morning. In, very slowly. Out, even slower. The young crow wakes beside her, confused for a half second, the way young things often are upon waking. A brief, bright look of "Where am I?" followed immediately by the recognition of the familiar branch, the familiar tree, the familiar dark shape of his mother beside him. He ruffles his feathers, shaking off the night, and then settles back into the relative warmth of the early morning. Crows and most corvids mate for life, or something close to it. A breeding pair will return to the same territory year after year, often nesting in the same tree, building on and repairing the same structure. The bond between a mated pair of crows is maintained by a range of behaviors that look, to the human observer, like affection, mutual preening, close perching, food sharing, side-by-side foraging. Whether there is feeling behind these behaviors in the way there is feeling behind ours, whether a crow knows something like love, is a question that science approaches very carefully, because we cannot yet see inside. But the behaviors are there, They persist over years. They are consistent and directed. Whatever they are not nothing. We'll remind you one more time to like and save this video if it's helping you unwind. It means more than you know to this little channel. The crow's mate is elsewhere at this hour. He has a wider early morning circuit than she does, checking the far edges of their territory before the day properly begins. They will meet at the feeding grounds later in the morning, and there will be that same comfortable behavior, the mutual preening, the sitting together, without ceremony, without apparent need for ceremony. They have been doing this for years. The sky is turning from deep blue to something warmer now. A low layer of pale gold at the horizon, with the deep blue still holding above it, and between them, a thin band of pinkish orange that will last only a few minutes before everything shifts into the clean brightness of day. The crow watches it from her high branch, steady and awake, and present in the way that only very alert creatures can be at the start of a day, before the accumulated events of the hours ahead layer over the freshness of morning. Everything is still new, everything is still possible. The day has not yet declared itself. The sun arrives, as it always does, without ceremony, simply a brightness on the eastern horizon that gathers weight and warmth and intent, until suddenly the whole landscape tilts toward it. The crow feels the warmth on the dark surface of her feathers and opens her wings briefly, spreading them to receive it. Dark feathers absorb sunlight more efficiently than light ones. This is one of the theories about why so many corvids are black or near black. The sun is a free energy source, and a crow is a creature that does not waste free things. The young crow does the same, spreading his wings beside her, and for a moment they are both facing the sun, with their wings slightly out and their eyes half closed, like two dark flowers turning toward the light. This sun-basking behavior serves multiple purposes. Warmth, certainly, but also something else. Ultraviolet light kills certain parasites that live in feathers. A crow that basks in morning sunlight is also, in a practical sense, disinfecting itself. The behavior is unconscious and elegant, the way so many biological solutions are, doing several useful things at once, arrived at by long, unhurried patience. You can be still now, the way the morning is still, the way the crow is still in her patch of warmth. The street below is beginning to show the first signs of human activity. A car starts in a driveway somewhere nearby. A door opens and closes. The sound of someone's shoes on pavement, a quick, purposeful sound, passes and fades. The neighborhood is beginning to perform its daily self, and the crow watches it as she always has from above. There is a long and complicated history between humans and crows that reaches back much further than most people realize. In many indigenous cultures across North America and in traditions across Asia and Europe, crows and ravens appear as important figures, as messengers, as tricksters, as wise and knowing presences that exist just at the edge of the human world, aware of everything, beholden to nothing. These characterizations are, if anything, underselling the actual animal. The real crow is as interesting as any mythological one. In Norse mythology, the god Odin was attended by two ravens, Hugin and Munin, whose names translate roughly as thought and memory. Each day they flew across the world and returned to whisper what they had seen into his ears. The story is old and layered with meaning, but it has a root in observed reality. Ravens and crows do pay extraordinary attention to the world. They notice things we miss. They remember what they see. Whatever the Norse people thought they were mythologizing, they got the essence right. Check the playlist. Each story there is waiting like a door, left slightly open, and you're welcome through any of them. The man in the gray coat appears again on the path below, moving with the same unhurried steadiness as yesterday. The crow watches him with what can only be described as recognition. Not alarm, not interest, just the quiet notation of a familiar presence. He belongs here. He is part of the map. He does not look up. Below her, the young crow has climbed down to a lower branch and is examining a dead leaf with some intensity. Picking it up, putting it down, picking it up again. There is nothing useful about this. He is simply playing, or perhaps exercising the habit of examination that will serve him so well later. The line between play and learning in corvids is not always clear, and that may be the point. Across the way, a magpie, a relative, a cousin in the corvid family, lands briefly on a fence and looks around with that particular magpie quality of expressed opinion. Magpies are vocal and decided and seem to find the world perpetually surprising. The crow watches it without any strong reaction. They are not close, corvids and magpies, but they share a kind of professional understanding. Both smart, both watchful, both working the same territory in their respective ways. The magpie leaves. The morning continues. Mid-morning holds a particular quality of established light. Not the freshness of early sun, not the heaviness of noon, but a clear and useful brightness that falls straight and clean across everything it touches. The crow is on the fence now, because a crow on a fence is a crow at a different height, with a different angle of view on the same familiar world, and variety of perspective is something she values, though she does not know she values it. She simply finds herself moving through the day in 3 dimensions: high branch, low branch, fence, ground, roof, back to high branch, because the world looks different from each of these places, and the world is always worth looking at. A crow's eye is fixed in its socket. They cannot roll their eyes the way we can. So, to track a moving object, a crow turns its whole head, that quick side-to-side tilting that makes them look perpetually curious, which perhaps they are. The young crow has followed her to the fence, and he sits a few feet away in that companionable spacing that means everything is fine. There is a particular crow body language for ease and safety: feathers smooth, posture relaxed, neither hunched nor puffed, the beak not constantly busy. The young crow has that posture now, and so does the crow. 2 dark shapes on a fence in the morning sun, comfortable in the fact of each other. Let the morning hold you the way that fence holds them, without effort, without grip, simply a surface you trust. A crow's beak is a multi-purpose instrument of considerable sophistication. It probes, pries, strips, crushes, quarries, excavates, grooms, and occasionally acts as a tool handle. The remarkable cases of crows using sticks and hooked probes to reach insects and cavities have been studied in New Caledonian crows, a species found on the Pacific island of New Caledonia that has developed what may be the most advanced tool culture of any bird on Earth. These crows manufacture specific tools for specific tasks, selecting particular types of leaves and shaping them with great precision. They carry good tools with them for later use. They understand the functional properties of different materials. Our crow, the crow of this particular oak tree, does not make tools. Her environment has not required that of her. But the cognitive substrate is there, shared across the corvid family. And if her world changed in a way that made tool use valuable, there is good reason to think she would find her way to it. This is one of the more humbling things about intelligence. It is not a fixed quality, not a gift you either have or don't. It is a potential that unfolds in response to the world it encounters. The New Caledonian crows developed their tool culture because their island environment rewarded it. Our crow developed her face recognition and social mapping abilities because her environment, the dense, complicated human city, rewarded those. Different worlds pull different capacities forward. We love that you're here with us tonight, or this morning, or whatever hour it is where you are. And if you feel like it, a comment below would make us very happy. The young crow, sitting on the fence beside his mother, is developing capacities that will only become visible over the next few years. He does not yet know all the faces that belong in the territory. He does not yet fully understand the seasonal patterns, when food is abundant, when it must be cached, when to follow the other crows, and when to stay. He does not yet have the thick, layered knowledge of this street and these people and these trees that his mother carries. But he is here. He is watching. He is putting things away in careful order. The morning continues its slow work, and the world turns around its sun. And on a fence in an ordinary neighborhood, two crows sit in the light and are, in their way, content. The afternoon returns, as it always does, a little heavier than the morning. Warm air settled over everything, the light gone from crisp to soft, the day halfway done. The crow's mate has come back, landing in the upper branches of the oak tree with a small conversational call that she answers without looking up from what she is doing, which is examining the space between two paving stones for something she remembers being there last week. The call and answer happen the way many things do in a long partnership, without ceremony, without interruption of the practical business of the day, but present, reliable, a small acknowledgement that crosses the distance between them without effort. He has a different face map than she does, built from different circuits of their shared territory. The two maps together cover more ground than either alone. When they forage separately through the day and then come together in the evening, they carry with them the compiled observations of two watchful minds, and the combined knowledge is richer than either individual one. This is something corvid pairs and family groups seem to exploit quite naturally. The division of territory into different zones of observation, the implicit pooling of information through proximity and social attention. A pair of crows in a well-known territory is, collectively, a system of considerable intelligence. Let that settle over you like warmth. You are also part of something larger than yourself. You also carry knowledge that others carry too, and between you, all of it is held. The crow finds what she was looking for, a small piece of dried meat, slightly desiccated but intact, that she placed here 4 days ago. She tests it quickly with her beak. Acceptable. She eats it in 3 neat bites, and then cleans her beak against the edge of the paving stone with a brisk, practiced motion. Caching and recovery in crows involves a remarkable chain of memory. The crow must remember the location precisely, not approximately, but exactly, because other crows are also watching, also marking locations, also planning to return. And the recovery memory is long. Crows have been documented successfully recovering cached food after more than a month. The spatial memory involved is highly accurate, and it is not the only thing they must track. They also need to remember what type of food it was when it was cached, and whether any other bird was watching when they hit it. The last of these requires social memory to be integrated with spatial memory. Who was present, and what does their presence mean for the safety of this cache? It is a complex, multi-layered calculation happening quietly inside a bird the size of a rolled umbrella. Please do check the playlist for more. Each one is a slow story, a gentle corner of the world to rest in. The young crow has been watching his mother eat with the attentive interest of someone taking notes. He knows the general principle of caching. He has been trying it himself with the limited success of a student who understands the theory but is still learning the practice. Twice today, he has returned to a location and found his cache missing, taken, most likely, by his mother or his father, who observed him hiding it without him noticing. He is learning. The theft is, in its way, instruction. In the upper branches, his father is doing something that the young crow cannot quite follow from where he sits, arranging a small collection of objects in the fork of a branch, examining them, rearranging them. A bit of foil, a blue plastic fragment, a smooth stone. This collecting behavior is not unique to crows. Many corvids accumulate shiny or colorful objects, and the reasons are not fully understood. Not food, not nesting material, something else. Perhaps the collecting is play. Perhaps it is social signaling. Perhaps it is something with no clear human category. A crow-specific behavior that fills a crow-specific need that our frameworks do not have a good name for yet. The afternoon holds its warmth. The oak tree holds its quiet family. The street below continues its small daily story. Late afternoon has a particular texture. The light goes from gold to amber, and the shadows stretch out long and thin, and everything takes on that quality of being almost over, that is somehow not sad at all, but full of a gentle completeness. The crow is in the highest reachable branch, which is where she tends to be when the day is turning, watching the whole arc of the neighborhood from above, doing one final survey before the routines of evening begin. Her mate is beside her, closer than at any other time of day, their feathers touching. The young crow is below them, more active in the late afternoon light than he has been at midday, exploring the outer branches with the energy of a creature whose rest period has ended. From up here, the crow can see the full complexity of her territory. 3 streets, the park at one end, the bakery at the other, the school in the middle. The houses whose occupants she knows by silhouette and gait and schedule. The trees she has nested in, the feeders she has visited, the bins she has learned the collection schedule of, the paths that cut across the park where she can find dropped food after the afternoon crowd, the corner where the man with the gray coat always slows down before turning. All of this is held inside her, not as a map you could draw, but as a lived understanding. the way you understand the layout of a house you have loved. You know where the floor creaks. You know which window lets in the morning light. You know the particular sound the heating makes at night. It is not information exactly. It is more than that. Let yourself be somewhere that feels like home to you, real or imagined. Both are good enough. Crows have been living alongside humans for a very long time, likely since the first human settlements created the first reliable food waste. They are among the oldest neighbors we have. In that time, they have adapted to us in specific and sophisticated ways. And we have, perhaps mostly without knowing it, shaped them too. The crows of cities are somewhat different from the crows of wilderness, more tolerant of human proximity, more skilled at navigating human spaces, more sophisticated in their reading of human behavior. We have changed each other over millennia simply by living in the same places. There is something about that which asks for slowness and attention. The crow watching you on your street is not a stranger. It is a very old neighbor, adapted to your world, keeping track of you in its careful, quiet way. You have always been known by them, even when you didn't know it. If this story has been company for you tonight, we would love a like. It's the warmest kind of thank you. The evening star appears at the horizon. Not a star at all, of course, but Venus, bright enough to show while the sky is still pale. The crow sees it, though what she makes of it, or whether she makes anything of it, is not clear. She is oriented toward the surface of the world, toward the things that move and change and matter at the level of branches and streets. The sky above is weather and migration cues and the passage of the day. The stars are not part of the map she uses, but she looks at the evening star anyway, briefly, in the way that alert animals look at things that catch the eye without quite having a category for them. Then she looks back at the street below, where the man in the gray coat is making his evening return, walking back the way he came in the morning with the same unhurried steadiness, bag in hand, breath making small clouds in the cooling air. The crow watches him home. He rounds the corner and disappears. She calls once, quiet, definite, and her mate answers beside her. The young crow below calls back. The evening is assembling itself now in earnest, piece by piece, the way only evenings do. The last light of the day is always the most golden, long and horizontal, and so warm in color it seems to push back against the dark that is already beginning to gather at the edges. The crow and her mate sit together in this last light, and between them there is something so easy and so long established that it needs no acknowledgement. They have weathered seasons together. They have raised young together. They have built and rebuilt the same nest in the same tree across multiple years, the nest grown larger each season with additions, like a house that is always being gently expanded. Crow nests are built primarily from sticks, but the inner cup, where the eggs are laid, is lined with softer materials, moss, grass, fur collected from fence posts, where animals have brushed past, occasionally paper or cloth if the texture is right. The finished nest is a layered structure, architectural in its own way. The outer scaffolding of sticks giving way to softer concentric layers inward. The innermost cup warm and dense and just wide enough. These nests are not fully visible from below. Crows are careful about that. They choose sites that offer overhead cover from the common angles of approach. They know which branches will hold, which orientations offer shelter from prevailing wind. The choice of nest site is one of the most deliberate decisions a crow pair makes, and they often return to discuss it, perching at various candidate locations, moving between them, calling to each other, in a way that, to a watching human, looks unmistakably like deliberation. You can rest like a nest, held from all sides, softly, completely. The young crow has settled on a branch somewhat lower and somewhat closer to the trunk, a naturally sheltered position that first-year crows often choose, perhaps by instinct, perhaps from observation of where experienced birds position themselves. He is doing the small, final preparations for sleep, ruffling and resettling his feathers, tucking one foot up against his belly, adjusting his grip on the branch. In the distance, the first communal crows are beginning to pass overhead on their way to the winter roost. Not many yet, not the great rivers of midwinter, but a loose string of them moving across the amber sky with purposeful wing beats, calling occasionally in transit. The crow watches them pass. She does not follow. Her roots are here, in this tree, in this territory, with this particular small family. The roost-bound crows grow small in the sky and are gone. The evening swallows the last of the gold. One more reminder to check the playlist. There is always another story waiting, another night, another corner of the natural world to rest in. The world of a crow at dusk is different from the world at dawn. At dawn, everything is possible and unknown. The day ahead is unread, full of potential finds and meetings and developments. At dusk, everything is known. The day has been cataloged, the faces filed, the caches confirmed. The body knows what happened. The mind is beginning to do its nightly work of sorting and keeping. There is a satisfaction in that. In the end of a day well lived, all its small events put away in order. The crow feels something like this, though we lack the words for whatever version of it lives in a crow's body. But you can feel the analog of it if you let the end of your day be what it is, not rushed, not evaluated, just settled into, the way you settle into sleep. The oak tree holds them all now. The crow, her mate, the young crow. 3 dark shapes in the darkening branches, feathers pulled close, the day's maps folded and stored. The night comes up from the ground, the way it always does, slowly. This is the last part of the story, and it comes gently. The night is full now, the deep, settled dark of proper night, with its layered silences and its stars and its sense of the world at rest. The crow sleeps in her high branch. Her mate sleeps beside her. The young crow is still, at last, below. Somewhere in the neighborhood, a light is still on in someone's window. A car passes on a road 2 streets over, its sound brief and Doppler shifted. There, and then gone. A cat crosses the yard in complete silence, a darker shape against the dark ground, knowing its way so thoroughly it does not need to look. The world goes about its night business, unhurried, quiet, competent. And in the oak tree, in the dark, a crow is keeping something safe. It is a record of faces, an accumulated portrait gallery of the neighborhood's human population, sorted not by name or description, but by feeling, safe, unknown, uncertain, trusted, the occasional entry that says, approach with care. This gallery has been growing for years. Some of the entries go back to before the young crow was born. Some of them will last longer than the specific memories they are attached to, passed on and kept in living form by the next generation, and perhaps the one after that. You are probably in a crow's gallery somewhere. Some bird in some neighborhood has your face in its careful archive, filed away under whatever category you deserve. Most likely, safe, familiar, feeds the bird sometimes. Harmless. It is a small, quiet form of being known. It is not nothing. Let yourself be still now. Let the weight of your body be exactly what it is. Let your breathing be the only movement left in you. The oak tree shifts slightly in a breath of wind. Not the kind of wind that disturbs, just the kind that reminds. The leaves say something brief and then are quiet again. The stars, where they show, are the same stars they always are: Cassiopeia, Orion, the slow, pale river of the Milky Way, unchanged by anything that happened today, keeping their own long and patient time. Crows have been here alongside humans for thousands and thousands of years. They watched the first settlements, the first streets, the first lights. They have seen every kind of human face. They have filed away the patterns of whole civilizations and passed them in their quiet, corvid way, from generation to generation. They are among the oldest witnesses we have, not witnesses to history in the grand sense, but to the small, daily texture of human life, the comings and goings and faces and habits that make up the actual fabric of days. They do not judge. They simply note. They simply remember. There is something very peaceful in that, to be observed by a gentle and careful intelligence that wants nothing from you except to know whether you are safe, to be filed away in the dark of a crow's memory as harmless, familiar, part of the known world. The hour before dawn is the most secret hour. It belongs to almost no one. Too late for the night animals finishing their rounds, too early for the morning ones beginning theirs. It is a seam in the day, a place between things, and in it the world holds a quality of stillness so complete that you can almost feel the planet beneath you turning slowly on its axis, carrying you through the dark toward the light that is still an hour away. The crow is not quite asleep and not quite awake. She is in that floating middle place that birds inhabit so naturally, one hemisphere of her brain drifting, the other gently scanning the way a hand trails in water from the side of a slow boat. Nothing is required of her right now. Nothing is happening that needs attending. She simply exists in the dark, warm in her own feathers, aware of the branch beneath her feet with the same uncomplicated certainty that you are aware of the surface you are resting on right now. Her mate breathes beside her. The young crow is still below, deep in the sleep of the young, which is the heaviest sleep there is. Complete, unhesitating, the whole body given over to it without reservation. The air at this hour carries the cold more clearly than at any other time. It has had all night to settle and clarify, and now it is as crisp and transparent as spring water. The crow feels it across the exposed skin of her feet, the only part of her not covered by feathers. And some part of her registers it as information: temperature, approximate hour, quality of the coming morning. A crow reads the world through its feet as well as its eyes. Let the cool air of this hour reach you gently. Let it be pleasant, just on the surface of things. Crow feet are remarkable instruments. 4 toes arranged with 3 forward and 1 back. The classic perching foot of the passerine order, though crows and their relatives are among the largest birds in this vast group, that include sparrows, warblers, finches, and thousands of others. The tendons in a perching bird's foot are arranged so that the foot grips automatically when the leg bends. The weight of the body on a bent leg is what keeps the toes closed around the branch. This means a sleeping bird cannot fall. The grip tightens as the bird relaxes, the branch holds without effort. You're also held without effort tonight. Whatever surface you're resting on, it has you. You do not need to hold on. A moth passes near the tree, navigating the dark on its own ancient system. The compound eyes reading moonlight and starlight in ways that are still not fully understood. The antennae sampling the chemical messages laid into the air by flowers and other moths, and the complicated scent story of the night. Moths are not well understood as a group compared to butterflies. They are more numerous, more varied, more nocturnal, and therefore less observed. There are approximately 160,000 known species of moth in the world, and estimates suggest the true number may be considerably higher. Most of them will live their whole lives without ever being seen by a human. The moth passes the oak tree and moves on into the dark, unhurried and complete. The crow's eyes, under their closed lids, move slightly, that rapid, subtle movement that signals the deep phase of sleep, the organizing phase, the phase in which the day's material is handled and sorted and placed correctly. Her brain at this moment is doing work that looks, on a scan, not unlike the brain of a sleeping mammal. Waves of activity moving across it in patterns associated with consolidation and rest. She is, somewhere in there, filing the young man who looked at the sky. He has now been seen 3 times. He moves in a consistent pattern at consistent times, with a consistent quality of unhurried attention. The file is growing toward a conclusion, and the conclusion will be safe. Familiar, part of the known world. He will never know this is happening. There is a kind of private tenderness in that, to be known by something that will never announce it, to be quietly trusted by a crow who has watched you without your awareness and decided on the balance of evidence that you are all right. You are also, it is worth remembering, all right. The darkness begins its first, nearly imperceptible thinning. Not yet light, simply a very slight reduction in the depth of dark, as if someone has turned a dial by one small increment somewhere very far away. The crow does not wake for this, not yet. But somewhere in her biology, a clock is ticking forward. The young crow, deep in his heavy sleep below, does not feel it at all. He is somewhere far inside himself, in that vast, warm interior where the young go when they sleep, processing the accumulated freshness of a day in which everything was still slightly new. The branch holds them all. The tree holds the branch. The earth holds the tree. Everything, all the way down. If you're still with us in this very quiet hour, we love knowing you're there. A comment below, or a like, or simply the knowledge that you found your way here. It means everything to this small, sleepy channel. A light rain begins very softly. Barely rain, more like the air deciding to be slightly more present. A mist with ambition. It moves through the oak leaves without disturbing them much, settling on surfaces, darkening the bark, running in tiny channels down the rough fissures of the branches. The crow's feathers, perfectly preened and perfectly waterproof, shed it completely. The water beads and rolls away. She stays dry inside the architecture of her own plumage without any effort at all. Rain on a quiet night is one of the best sounds. It fills every frequency band at once, which is why it works so well for sleep. It contains so much that there is no room for other things. It smooths the edges of the world. It makes everything that was slightly too distinct slightly softer. Let the rain soften the edges of your thoughts, if there are edges left to soften. The rain continues, gentle and consistent, saying the same thing over and over, the way rain always does, which is simply here, 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 here. The rain has stopped and left behind it a world that is clean in a way the world rarely is, every surface rinsed, every smell clarified, the air carrying a freshness that has no better word for it than after rain. The crow is more awake now. The darkness has thinned further, and there is a quality in the air that her body knows as the first signal of genuine approaching dawn. Not yet the lightening of the sky, but something in the atmosphere, some change in temperature or humidity, or some other subtle register that birds can read and we cannot, that says, not long now. She shifts her weight on the branch, adjusts her grip, blinks once, both eyes, then resettles. The young crow below stirs slightly, responding to the same signal, but does not fully wake. He is at the age where the world's cues take a moment to reach him through the pleasant thickness of sleep. He is getting there. The after-rain smell is called petrichor, a word made from the Greek for stone and for the fluid that runs in the veins of gods. It was named in 1964 by two Australian researchers who identified it as a combination of plant oils released from the soil, a compound called geosmin produced by soil bacteria, and ozone from lightning. The smell we associate with rain and with something ancient and reassuring is, at its chemical root, the smell of bacteria that have lived in the earth for billions of years, released by water rising to meet the air. We smell the deep past when it rains. We just do not usually know it. There is geosmin in the air now, released by the soft rain, and though neither the crow nor any of the sleeping neighborhood consciously registers it as ancient, something in the older parts of every brain here, human or crow, recognizes it as a fundamental smell of the living world. It is a smell that means earth. It means life ongoing. It means you are in the right place. Breathe in gently, if you like. Even imagined petrichor carries something real in it. The darkness is genuinely thinning now, slowly, but with direction. East is becoming distinguishable from other directions. The sky above the horizon holds the first possible suggestion of a color that has not yet decided if it is blue or gray or the faintest imaginable rose. Crows can see this color distinction much more clearly than we can. Their fourth photoreceptor and their generally higher resolution color vision means that the gradations of twilight that appear as subtle suggestions to our eyes are, to a crow, a detailed and readable landscape of shifting light. They know the exact quality of this particular minute of pre-dawn with a precision we lack the biology to match. It must be beautiful in ways we have no access to. The young crow wakes now, properly wakes, with the full transition that young animals make from sleep to alertness with almost no middle stage. He is asleep, and then he is awake, eyes bright, head up, looking around with the fresh attention of a creature for whom the world has just been returned to him after several hours away. He looks at his mother above him. She's already watching the horizon. He looks at his father beside her, also watching. He looks at the sky. He looks at the wet, dark branches around him. He looks at the pavement below, which holds the reflection of the nearest streetlight in a puddle, a small, imperfect mirror showing a distorted orange circle. He has seen this before: water that shows the sky, surfaces that hold reflections. But it has not lost its interest for him. He tilts his head at the puddle. The orange circle tilts back. If the playlist is something you haven't visited yet, this would be a lovely time. Each story there is another slow hour in the natural world, waiting for you with the lights low and the door open. Crows have passed the mirror test, or something close enough to it to be significant. The mirror test, or mark test, involves placing a mark somewhere on an animal that it can only see via a mirror, and observing whether the animal investigates the mark on its own body, indicating self-recognition, rather than treating the reflection as another individual. Great apes pass, dolphins pass, elephants pass, magpies, corvid relatives pass. Crows have shown behaviors consistent with passing, though the methodology for birds is necessarily adapted from the mammal version, and the results are still being discussed and refined. What is clear is that crows treat mirrors and reflective surfaces differently from how they treat other birds. They show less social response to a reflection than to an actual crow, suggesting they understand at some level that a reflection is a different kind of thing. Whether they understand it as themselves is the question that keeps researchers up at night. The young crow looks at the puddle for a while longer. The puddle holds its distorted orange circle and does not tell him what it is. Then a ripple runs through it, a drop from a wet leaf falling, and the circle breaks apart and reforms. And he watches the reformation with close attention, the way you watch something rearrange itself into what it was before. The rearrangement completes. The circle is whole again. He looks up at the sky. The blue-gray is deepening towards something that is almost, possibly, a color. Above him, the crow calls once, very soft, the pre-dawn call, the "I am here and everything is as it should be" call. And her mate answers, and then, after a moment, the young crow answers too, his voice still carrying the slight unfinished quality of youth, not yet as clean and certain as hers, but getting closer. Three voices in the last of the dark, exchanging the quietest possible news. Present, present, present. The sky, with great patience, begins to lighten. The last thing to say about crows is that they are still here. In all the ways the world has changed, the cities built, the forests cleared, the skies crossed with light and sound, and the invisible signals of 1,000 technologies, crows have remained. They did not retreat. They did not diminish into the margins of the world and become rare and careful and afraid. They stayed, and they watched, and they adapted, and they are still here on the branches above the streets, keeping their long and patient account of the world as it moves through their territory. There is something in that worth resting with. The crow on her branch in the early morning light, the light that has now properly arrived, pale gold and clean after the rain, filling the wet oak leaves with a gentle radiance, is the latest in a line of crows that stretches back without interruption through every kind of world this place has been. Before the street was a street, a crow watched from this hillside. Before the houses were houses, a crow called from a different tree that stood where something else stands now. The crows of this territory have seen everything. They have filed it all away. They carry the whole long record of this place in their living memory and their inherited knowledge, passing it forward one generation at a time, the way good things get passed forward. The young crow sits in the golden morning beside his mother, and she is teaching him what she knows, not in words, not in lessons, but in the slow and patient way that being present together is always also a kind of teaching. Watch. Here is the man who is safe. Here is the woman who brings food. Here is the way the morning moves across the rooftops. Here is the sound that the bakery makes when it opens. Here is the smell of rain on pavement. Here is the bell. And here is the light. And here are the stars that come when the light goes. And here is the dark that holds the stars. And here, always and always, is the tree. Let yourself be in the tree for a moment. The high, safe branch. The morning coming gold through the leaves. Everything you need within reach. Crows mate in late winter or early spring, and the pair begins nest preparation before the snow is fully gone. Small, forward-looking acts in the still cold world, gathering sticks and testing locations, laying the groundwork for a future that is not yet here, but is already being arranged for. This is another of the capacities that marks corvid intelligence, the ability to act now in preparation for a future state, to do something today that will matter in a month. Most animals live close to the present moment. Crows live in a somewhat wider band of time, one that includes a meaningful stretch of what is coming. This morning, there is no nest building. It is autumn, and the nest that was built and used and repaired across the spring and summer sits in the fork of the middle branches, empty now, slightly weathered, waiting for whatever comes next. It will be used again. It has been used before. It will outlast the season. The young crow looks at it with an interest that is not quite recognition. He was raised in it, in the most literal sense, but he was very young, and the memory, if it is there at all, is more sensation than image. The smell of the inner cup, perhaps, the particular warmth and closeness of the early days. We are so glad you spent this night, or this morning, or this quiet hour wherever you are, with us and with the crow and her family. If you leave us a like before you sleep, it will be there in the morning, and it means more than we can say. The street below is beginning its day in earnest now. Doors opening, footsteps, the first cars moving with purpose. The neighborhood reassembles itself from its nighttime version into its daytime one, layer by layer, the way consciousness reassembles itself from sleep. The crow watches all of it from above, as she always has, as she always will. The man in the gray coat will pass in a little while. The woman with the food will come later. The young man who looks at the sky will probably appear at some point in the mid-morning, walking with his unhurried gait, occasionally looking up at nothing in particular. The crow will watch all of them. She will remember all of them. She will carry them inside her. In the careful and unannounced way she carries everything. And she will pass what matters on, and what she passes on will be carried forward by the young crow beside her. And the world will go on being known by things that love it without language. You are part of this world. You are part of what is known and watched and gently held. The sun is fully up now. The air is warming. The wet oak leaves are beginning to dry, and the light in them is very fine. The kind of light that makes you want to stand still for a moment and just receive it. Just let it be exactly what it is. Let it be exactly what it is. Let the morning be the morning. Let the crow be the crow. Let the world be the quiet, extraordinary thing it is, turning under the sun, filled with watchers and dreamers and small daily miracles that no one announces. The crow calls once, clearly, into the morning air, a full, clean sound, not an alarm, not a question, simply a voice placed into the world, saying, I am here in the most straightforward way. The morning holds it for a moment. Then it lets it go, the way all sounds go, out and out and out, thinning into the air that holds everything, becoming part of the silence that was always there underneath. You can let go too. Close your eyes. Let the morning hold you. Let the crow's voice be the last thing you carry. Quiet, certain, said into the good air without hesitation or apology. Here, here, here. Thank you for being with the Sleepy Nature channel tonight. The playlist is waiting. More slow stories, more quiet corners of the living world. Rest well. The crows are watching over the neighborhood. Everything is as it should be.